What is the wrestling match? What is the wrestling match with God? Allowing the individual self to acclaim Israel. In a previous video that I've shared known as the Rule of Threes, you might find that once again there are 3 particular points at which an individual may orient themselves according to how they essentially pursue the positioning of their higher power. Said higher powers being the hero, the warrior mentality, the survivor mentality, and the victim mentality. These 3 points are a guiding pattern, you could say. Within this guiding power, you might find that according to how you align said guiding power over your central magnetic field, you arise to the way you will live your life according to said point of power. In the wrestling match with God, in the wrestling match with God, one might find that according to how the energies shift of essentially creating this wrestling match through the motions of shifting those energy points in your life, you rise to the main energy point, which is the Word. The Word, that which is the point that allows said 3 pyramidal points to arise into a hierarchical structure. And what that point is the Word, that which the Word became flesh. If the Word became flesh according to these 3 particular points, such as the hero, survivor, or victim stances, you might arise to, according to each of this alignment of energies under the words you will take under each of these particular mentalities or stances in life. If you do not create the essential beginning to said match, you will be stuck in the victim. Essentially, the battle is not within another, it is within the self. And in order to create this wrestling match, to get the ball rolling, if you wish, the wheel, that which I arise to the notion of within the video of the Rule of Threes. If you do not get the energy moving, the wheel will not begin moving. And if the wheel cannot begin moving, it is because it does not have a steady traction or a level ground, a rootness. And in being rooted, you might find a moral compass is able to be a point you may be able to compare from. Said moral compass being passed down generation by generation by generation, which each generation is rooted from the Word. And the more the Word has been passed down, according to their own individual wrestling match within themselves, they might arise to how their future generations are then generated, and which mentality from hero to survivor or victim stances each particular child will take in response to their interaction, which each interaction once again alters another. The more we do not know the power of our words, and understanding the power of the words, you might find that once again, thy word becomes flesh. and that which you speak echoes throughout time. And the moment an observer hears thy word, you might see the story of life change from each particular word, and each particular word a different tone. Within said tone, the resonance, you might find that at the level of resonance, if you do not speak a truth under the right tone, it does not essentially resonate or reverberate within the universe. It simply casts a spell, which drastically affects others. Now, in the understanding that speaking the word becomes flesh, you might find that in order for God's grace to be experienced, God's grace being a feeling that which is given to you, and from said feeling you may give it to another, and from another they may experience it themselves, and at any particular point in time that feeling may be given back to you, and you may then give it back to God, known as God's grace. You would arise to once again thanking thy mother for the life that which she gave you, and in said thanking you might find where God's grace ultimately returns back to God. The moment you can thank your mother, you might do it in one bold way, if you wish, for the world to see. But ultimately, without thy mother, without thy God, a man may not create the motion. And without man, without a paternal father figure, without the father, one may not necessarily gain the point at which he can place the moral compass from, the example from which that said example you place forth, and you may go and say, based on their life, what do I wish to repeat, and what do I wish to not repeat? The more we can pursue understanding the rooting at which you can create the familial values from, the more we rise to generation upon generation upon generation throughout the echoes of the universe may forever change the trajectory of humankind. Thank you.